I was on the phone with my uncles, three of my uncles, yesterday, and we were just talking about like conflict and love and marriage and stuff like that. And I asked one of my uncles, was it love that kept you married to my auntie? And he said, no. I ain't married your auntie because I loved her. He said, no. Love, that's too much of an emotional process. I married your auntie because she stayed on my neck. I wouldn't be the man that I am today if it wasn't for her. So I asked him about some conflicts because I love talking to men who have been in conflict, who have made mistakes, who have learned from mistakes, especially married men, and can give you an idea of how things go from a male standpoint. So he tells me about one event. He said, there was one time I really made your auntie mad. He said, I was wrong. He said, I was wrong. I made a decision without talking to her. And she was really big on standing firm on what it is that you're going to do and making sure that you communicate things with her, any decisions, because they affected our household. And he goes and tells me, he said, so she was getting on my A. He said, and I hated it. So what I did the same thing I always did. Run into the bars, run into the clubs, run into the parlors, whatever I could to avoid her. He said, and I kept putting up a wall. I kept building a wall against her. And she fought and she fought and she fought to tear that wall down. And eventually the wall was defeating her. That's when I realized I was losing her. He said every time I made her face that wall and every time I turned my back against her because I didn't want to hear the truth about who I was. I didn't want to sit there and sit in my SHIT. I wanted to run from it. I shut down all the time. She couldn't beat that wall, so she turned away from me. And she fixed the problems herself. And so I asked him, I said, well, Uncle, whenever I talk to my clients, I always tell them you need to be able to put the purpose of your marriage and your relationship, your children, your investments, whatever it is, think from a logical standpoint, put that above the conflict. So that way you can defeat the conflict. And he said, well, baby, I wish you were there when I was around. He said, I wish you were there.
So first of all, shout out to Kitty Rose. I covered a few of her videos. That's how people deal with stuff, man. Unfortunately, you have some people who get into situations and communication is just not a strong suit. And the situations that do last are the open lines of communication between both, and where a man and a woman, because women will stonewall as well as what she was referring to. The guy, her uncle, was stonewalling. But I like the way she told this story, all dramatic, looking into the camera. You know what I'm saying? But you stonewall and you will end up losing somebody. You know what I mean? You will end up losing them eventually, and people fall out of love right in front of your face. And a lot of people, they end up acting like, okay, I'm out enjoying, even women too. I'm out here focused on something else. And when you could be you need to be selfless instead of just thinking about yourself in a particular situation and how you may be feeling, and thinking about your partner. Now, I agree with that too. Love is a beautiful thing when it comes to these situations. But like I say, a lot of these long-standing couples don't mean that they're completely unhappy, but love is like one of the last things. They're selfless in making sure that each other we're taking care of. You know what I'm saying? We're able to communicate the family, the whole situation, the whole dynamic. Now, I'm not saying you should be in a relationship unhappy or stay in something unhappy, but that communication, I think that's what kills it all, man. And people just fall out of love, or either communicate with someone else who's just temporary, who maybe they think is just listening just in a moment. But that's all kind of like what it boils down to a lot of times.
At that time, he said, because that's absolutely right. He said, had I have put the purpose between me and your auntie and my children in the home, I wouldn't have went through that hardship. So he continues to tell me, marriage ain't about love. He said, love don't mean nothing. It don't hold nothing. He said, how are you two getting through this journey called life? He said, how are you two fighting the test that marriage and that relationship is going to come with? That's what you need to ask yourself. What tools, what weapons do you all have when you are fighting against the world? Because your marriage and your relationship is going to fight against the world. There's going to be temptation. There's going to be confusion. There's going to be chaos. There's going to be so much. How are you two going to fight against it? Because he told me if you allow the enemy to see any type of weakness in your armor, the enemy is going to go for it. And who is going to be there for you to protect you? That's your helpmate. But he did tell me that it was a hard year because she got tired of him shutting down. And she turned away from him. He said, and I thought I was losing everything that I had built because I was losing the woman I love. And I just have to add this little splash because it was so funny. He told me he would always run to my great-grandma mother. And he said it was one day he tried to run to her. And he was like, Mama, she did this again, yada, yada, yada. And he said mother took a wooden spoon and smacked him across the head and told him, hush it before everything else. And you're going to stop coming and talking to me about this woman because that woman loves you more than you love yourself. If you stop taking her through it, you wouldn't have a reason to run to me. Go home and fix it. I am so glad I talked to my uncles yesterday because those are some strong men. And I love the fact that my uncles are so accountable. But I'm just here to tell you all, if you all are going through any type of conflict in your marriage and your relationship, you can get through it. You all can get through it. And if you feel like it is not you two, then sometimes you have to walk away. And if you have to walk away because this person has broken you down to the core and you are losing it, do so. But fight for your...
Watch out now. Love conquers all. Y'all heard me say that so many times. Love conquers all. And a lot of you guys, you'll get on the tip about should have stayed with the husband, even if the husband's putting the beaters on her, even if the husband is basically just turns into a piece of crap. I mean, you can only go but so far. Same thing with your old lady. You know what I'm saying? You can only deal with so much. You know, guys, you know, completely with her gaining weight, getting an attitude, just talking trash, just becoming mean and surly and, you know, can't communicate. That's the worst when you actually trying to fight. Because I've been in that situation. I've actually... if you guys have read my book, you know I kind of talk about it in Puppeteering with Heartstrings. Y'all can stick around. The link is in the description if you want to buy it. Quick plug. But someone pointed it out to me the other day about like, bro, like you were like fighting like super hard. And sometimes in a moment you just don't know and you just become tired, man. And it's like once you become tired and you basically detach from the situation, that's when the other person wants to come back. Or not come back, but they want to pay attention at that moment. But like sometimes it's too late, and I've been on both ends of that, you know what I mean? So if you feel like it's not worth it, I mean, sometimes walking away is the best thing for a peace of mind. You know, not always walking away to get somebody back, but walking away for a peace of mind and knowing that everything is going to be good, because somebody can say that they'll change, and then once you're back with them, they start back with the same behavior. And that's typically a lot of times how it is. People, you know, more often than not, why y'all broke up the first time is the same things are going to happen, or why y'all had a miscommunication or have these arguments over and over. It happens, and it's going to happen again. Not always, but, you know, change behavior, as they say, is the best way. As far as, I'm about to lose my thoughts. Change behavior is the best form of apology, right? And communication, man. Trust me, I know I've been through it. I can kind of see where things are going. And as you learn, as you get older, you can kind of see where relationships are going in situations. And you just like, this isn't going, I can already see. And sometimes you just don't have it in you to spend that time that you did when you were younger trying to make something happen. And that's perfectly understandable. You know what I mean? There's nothing more important than your peace. And that's all I got to say. Shout out, you know what I'm saying? Fight for it if you think it's worth it. If not, keep it moving. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit me up on Linktree to book a one-on-one with yours truly. I look forward to speaking with you. Also, I'm doing a Rate Me Show live. If you guys are interested, hit me up. I'll be glad to rate you privately, you know, so go ahead and click the link below, book a session. Look forward to speaking to you. And listen, man, much blessings and abundance. Follow me on Instagram. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. This is Wisdom. Stick around for the next video that's about to pop up on the screen. That's where I'm going to see you guys at. I'm out of here. Peace. It's
God's beat maker.
And I don't know. I will put a light in the sky for the G's that done turn memory from go. Blessings we send to the ghetto youth them.